with renovations, people think it's all about the reno, but it's not. Like, it is just paint and, tiles and kitchens and stuff. It's more about how everybody works together and how you run it, really, and try to make it a fun environment as well.
You're listening to the She Renovates podcast. You're listening to She Renovates, the podcast for women who want to renovate to create an income and a life they love.
Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of She Renovates. So today I have a special guest, Nady Harris. Now, Nady is a mum living in Adelaide who is now full-time property. And we'll go into that story in a minute. But specifically today, we're going to be talking about her most recent project, which was in Mount Barker, which was a renovation at a low price point. And Nady sourced it herself. And I think that this is a great episode for those of you who think that it is not possible to make a decent profit at a low price point. And so welcome, Nady.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, lovely to have you. Now, firstly, I would like you to just share a little bit about yourself, if you could, so our audience gets a sense of who Nady is and what's going on in her life, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, so I'm Nady Harris. I've always lived in Adelaide since 2008. We migrated from New Zealand to here. So I started off, I think, from a really young age. Both my parents are scientists, so I was on the path of becoming scientist and always focused on studies and academics, or business and things, or anything handy around the house was never in my radar. So it was always books and studying, get through uni. And I did a PhD in New Zealand, and my first job was with CSIRO. So we decided to migrate to here. But I think the changes kind of started happening after the first kid, having to put them into daycare and going to work, and then kind of juggling all that. And then because you're part-time, your money drops and your serviceability drops a little bit, and you go, oh, okay, we can tolerate this. And then you go and have another kid, and then you want a bit of a bigger house and a bigger car, and the money becomes really tight. And by that stage, by the first kid stage, we had a negatively geared property because we were on quite good money as just a couple. So we bought a brand new house and land package that was marketed to us through like a property investing company. And that was okay. We paid it down as much as we could. And then and we put it in 99% in my name. But as soon as I stepped out of part-time into part-time, that negative gearing disappeared a little bit, and it started hurting. And then interest rates are going up and rent wasn't going up. Like this suburb, Andrews Farm, was presented as a really good suburb that's going to have a lot of capital growth. And that didn't happen. Like the day we got the keys, the bank valuation came 40K less. So we're going, oh, it wasn't hurting. It only started hurting when we had the second kid, and I went really like very little work. So it got us thinking, okay, we could see property working, but we weren't getting any money from it. So every week you're just putting money into this thing that you don't see growing. It's okay, it's there, but and then by then we had gone to a lot of property seminars and things and invested money in courses and stuff. So we knew there were people doing it successfully. So we tried a few different strategies, like a regional reno, regional buy and hold, subdivision, tried moving houses down to narrow court, but everything kind of part-time and as a side gig. So not fully committed and under a lot of stress. And then like since about 2015, my husband was always like, oh, why don't you go full time? And then there's something in your head saying, oh, for 30 years I studied to be a scientist. Why would I drop all that and go into this completely new field. Like I've had no experience. I've always dealt with scientists, so I have no experience dealing with real estate agents, tradies, banks, all that. So I was like, oh no, just give me a bit of time. So we sold our first PPR, which was a unit, and we got a bit of equity. And then I went into a deal with my friend. We bought an unfinished house, and we made quite a big chunk of money out of that. And I went, oh, okay. So I had evidence there for, this could work. So we decided to really change up things and start just living on my husband's salary, and me to commit to property. So after that first deal, I stepped out of work. And since 2019, being fully doing property here. So I say full time, but it's in between, kids and the activities and my parents and all that. So, but I find it really liberating, and I'm my own boss. I decide what I do with my time mostly. And it's great fun. I met so many wonderful people, and like my Reno team is fantastic. So even as a work thing, I really enjoy what I do now. Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Amazing. And so there's just a couple of things I just wanted to hone in on. So I'm assuming you would not buy something from a property seminar again?
Oh no.
Yeah, I
So
just
we
wanted to,
joined,
yeah,
we were junkies. We spent so much money on property courses and stuff, well, probably close to some $50,000 by now. We joined one particular group, and they were doing a lot of apartment builds in big cities, and they were flogging these off as good investments. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm not going to go into coaching with you. I just stepped out because,
yeah,
yeah, I decide what I buy. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so I think that's, when someone joins our program, I always recite the rules of renovating for profit. And one of them is to buy wholesale, sell retail. Because, when you're buying retail, full retail, it's, for most people, that's a disaster. Occasionally, I think for very sophisticated investors can have, some have been able to make it work, but the majority of people I talk to, it's just been an absolute disaster. So that's great to reinforce that. The other thing that I think is important to, well, two things. Firstly, the fact that you are able to juggle family and parents and life around your projects, I think is one of the sort of benefits of property and renovating as a full-time gig, because it's just not full-time. Like when you've got a project, you're fully on board, but when your project's done, then it's clear sailing. And even when you've got a project, you're still able to, go to school assemblies and do the things that are important to your family. And I think the third point that I think you have highlighted is the fact that in order to be successful, particularly with renovating, you absolutely need to give it focus. Because it's not something like, I still try occasionally and it never works out. Like I make profit, but it's not as much as I could have made if I really focused on it, because if it hasn't got focus, the timeline slips and it costs you more holding costs. It's just, yeah, giving it full focus is the only way to extract the maximum result from your project. So well done. You've been able to highlight those 3 lessons in your story. Now, this, your Mount Barker project was a triumph, and I'd love you to tell us about it. So firstly, how you sourced the property, what it was, what you paid for it, and then we'll get into the renovation.
Yes, so I finished a really good project last year, July, and you're probably aware the Adelaide market is very, very hot. So whatever's just on realestate.com, it's gone before it hits the website pretty much. So I've looked at a lot of off markets, what agents bring me, and nothing was stacking up. And one of the things we really needed to do for our own PPR, we live in a renovator's house. It's nothing is done. It needs restumping really badly. And I said, okay, I'm going to find something that will make me $30,000. And it doesn't matter where it is. I will do it. I don't normally like to be on the tools, but I said, I'll do whatever it takes, work hard to make this 30,000. So went looking, it's something that I normally do every kind of fortnight, is put just a price bracket for South Australia and look for cheapies, like, the drug houses, the trashed houses, things that nobody wants that sits there. And this came up just from the first photo. It looked really ugly. So, and normally here, when the agent says contact agent and there's no inspection, it's just a listing they have. It's going to just sit in the back burner. They're not going to actively market this thing. So I rang the agent, arranged an inspection, and Mount Barker's about half an hour up the freeway from me. And as I enter Mount Barker, he rings me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, can you go back because I can't get into the house?" And I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, the vendor's meant to meet me here, but I can't get hold of her and I don't have keys." And I said, "Oh, I've driven all this way. Can I at least come meet you and just walk around the unit and, look through the windows and stuff?" He's like, "Oh, okay." It's like Friday, 5 o'clock. He didn't want to do it. So I made him come, and then he brought in another person who wanted to buy. So we had a chat, and I said, "Oh, look, I'm really interested." It was really trash. Like outside, there was just stuff everywhere. So I said, "Okay, once you get the keys, I'll be the first one to look at it." So he managed to get the keys the next day, went and had a look. I think there were 3 people looking at it, 2 local people and then myself. And it was presented just terrible. The lady, she was about 81 years old. She had no money. I later found out she had a gambling problem. So whatever money she had, she would jump on the bus, come to the casino, gamble it away. And then she had a bit of paranoia around people going around her unit. It was a 4-unit block. So she used like suitcases and stuff to block the paths. And she had a massive leak happening in her bathroom and didn't have money to fix it. So she would just go and turn off the mains and then nobody would have water. So she was a bit, not very nice neighbor, and made the place look really daggy as well. So inside, she was hoarding like handbags and shopping carts. So like there was a little path to go look through the house. The bathroom was in really bad condition. So the toilet has been leaking for 5 years. And like it's a little fix, but she hadn't done it. So she had a bucket, and the bucket was just leaking onto the floorboards. So the floorboards were rotten. And I don't think anything's been done to the house since the 60s. So green carpet and yellow walls. So for the average person looking to buy a nice unit in Mount Barker, they would just go, "Whoa, what is this?" And I went in and I said, "Oh, I love it. I can see really great potential." It had beautiful, like when the sunlight is coming in, just had a nice bright feel to it, and I could see what it could look like. So I've talked to a lot of people. I think just the average person, what they have problems is with seeing what it could, imagining what it could look like. So if they see a trashy house, that's all they see. They can't see past the mess and the cracked walls and the bad carpet. They can't imagine what it would look like once you've done the reno. But I can see it quite clearly. So I was like, "Oh, it's got great bones." But then, so I put in a really low ball offer, 251. I think she wanted 290. I said, "No way you're going to get 290, because things were selling for 320, 340, similar aged units in the area." I said, "No, I can't do that because I need about 30, 40K to renovate this and I need to make profit." And then, so they signed up with somebody else. They did a building and pest inspection, and they came back and said, "Oh, there's just so much to do. We don't want it." And agent came back and said, 265 and it's yours. I said, "Okay." And what I normally do is I try to secure the property with a bit more than I could afford. And then I whittled them down with the building and pest inspection issues. So I agreed to 265, did the building and pest, and I knew there was asbestos everywhere. But I went back and said, it's throughout the house, the kitchen floor, the bathrooms all needed to be taken down and relined. And I said, it's going to cost me 10K, but, we'll meet halfway. Can you sell it to me for 259.5? And they agreed. So it was just a pure cash purchase with mostly my dad's retirement savings. And then I got
Good
the
on
kids for the
Dad.
first time. Yes, bank of that. He's funded everything of mine. Yeah. So he gets about 7 to 10% per annum on his money, which usually normally sits in a term deposit. So he's doing well. I got the kids to put in their pocket money. So I think the three of us scraped together $2,000. So it was like, hey, do you have 5,000? Do you have 600? So it went like that. We got the keys, and usually during settlement, I try to arrange about 3 visits for tradies to court and stuff. I measure up everything, I buy everything. So the day I get the keys, we are in there demolishing and starting. Yeah. Do you want me to go through the reno as well?
Just before you do, there's just a couple of things I want to highlight so that those listening can learn some strategies. So the first one is putting in a search criteria for lowball. So you just searched Adelaide or South Australia?
So I did South Australia, but then I look in the map. So I'm not going to go to, Port Lincoln or very far away. So I just look in the region that I can drive to.
Awesome. That's excellent. I do that too, but I just realised I don't have that in my program, so I must remember to put it in. And so the second thing that you highlighted is the fact that you agreed to a higher price and then made it subject to building and pest and used the building and pest to negotiate down. And I love the way that you made it a win-win, even though it wasn't really a win-win. Well, it was, but by saying to her that you would split the cost of the remediation. So well done. So it wasn't just a case of putting in a low offer and getting it. You needed to engage some strategy to get there. So excellent. Okay, now let's hear. Sorry, did you want to say
the other thing I wanted to say was I'm really bad at negotiating face-to-face or over the phone. So I do a really lengthy email and I highlight stuff and make things, capitalized. And I go, it's going to cost me $50,000, but, I can meet you halfway and, I'm a nice person. So let's say 25K deposit discount or something like that. And usually when it's in writing, I just say, you need to take this to your vendor and highlight all these issues you have with your property and then get back to me. So I've kind of gone around my nervousness around having that hard conversations. Yeah.
I think there's a bit of method in your madness though, because not that it is madness, but that's just an expression, because the more you can engage with your buyer, the better. And so if you're negotiating verbally with an agent, you're really at the mercy of how much they're going to relay. If you write a really long email, one thing, he is not going to go through that whole email. He's probably going to give them the email. And that's what I've found in the past, that if you're able to engage with them through email, it enables you to tell the story and for them to actually receive it. So, I think that's a very powerful strategy. So well done.
Thank you.
So let's get into the project. How did it go?
So overall, like profit-wise and things, it went really well. One thing I was planning to do was, so I don't know if it happens in your circles, but among the renovators here, they're like, so how long are you going to take? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that race. And one friend was saying, you can knock that out in 3 weeks. And I went, ooh, okay, I'll give it a go. But then as soon as I started, I got another off-market deal offered to me, but it was quite substantial. It was renovating a 1920s bungalow and then also a subdivision. I've done subdivision pre-approvals, but I've never actually physically done one. So, and I really wanted to get into this deal. But I was quite nervous about the due diligence. And then I have this reno in the back of my mind. So I was really stressing myself out. And I thought, oh, hold on, like we don't have a bank loan on this. There's no real pressure and we're coming into winter. It might be actually okay to just relax, do the due diligence on this other project, get that over the line, and then, kind of nibble away at this project. So we started, and so I got everything set up for my tradies to do. So their work was getting done, but I was meant to paint and do the floors and do the like the little courtyard bit. So I was really slow on that. But it turned out okay because what happened was I think I settled in May. So I was hoping to put it into the market kind of end of June, but because of my delays, we didn't hit the market till end of August. But by then spring has come, the weather has really improved, and something happened in the market. The unit market just went crazy. I saw things being advertised for 390, then an unrenovated unit went for 420, and I'm going, oh, so I was going to sell this for about maybe 370, 360. So I said, oh, if everything has a 4 in front of it, I'm not going to lowball my one. So I advertised it about the 400 mark. So I think all in all, it went really well. So my trades were amazing. They managed to do most things without me being there. And then I was quite slow doing the painting. I do not like painting. And I think I only got it done because I have a really good friend. She turns up at 6:30 in her car with all the gear and say, get in, we are going painting.
Wow.
So yeah, so we knock out a room at a time and got through it. I did the floors by myself. And towards the end, I was just tired. I paid a gardener to come and do the mulching and the other stuff. And yeah, so we did, I followed like this motto that my friend taught me, Michelle Lewis. So she says, oh, Nady, renovate like you have no money. So I buy secondhand vanities. So I got a really good secondhand kitchen. There's a big project happening on the South Road here. So they're demolishing brand new townhouses and things like that. So I got onto that guy, and he literally took me through 7 townhouses with nearly brand new kitchens and said, just choose one. So a kitchen that would have cost maybe 15 to 20,000, I got for 3.5. And there's a little bit of art to making it all fit, but my cabinet maker is quite flexible and open to like learning new things and stuff. So together we managed to fit this thing in. It looks brand new. We had to completely gut the bathroom of the asbestos, do replumbing, reline and do the bathroom. So I think that was probably the biggest job. It didn't have a new hot water system. It didn't have any hot water. So we had to get a new hot water system. And then everything else was just tidying it up around the house. The other big thing that I managed to get done was a strata meeting for the units were coming up. So during winter when I was there, all the gutters had huge rusty holes through it. And you could just see water pouring down, and it looked really bad. They had a new roof, but no gutters and down pipes. So at the strata meeting, I bought this up. And they had a quote from their sister company to do all that for 15,000. And I said, oh, that sounds a bit steep. Do you mind if my guy gets a quote, gives a quote? So my builder looked at it and said, oh, they must be millionaires if they charge this much to do the gutters and downpipes. So he came at 7,500, so half of what they said. So I took it to the Strata and said, look, we have the money to do this. You didn't have 15,000, but you got 10. Why don't we get this done? So I managed to get all 4 units, new gutters and downpipes, which look really fantastic. Yeah, so I also sold it myself. I staged it myself as well because initially I didn't think there was a huge profit in this. So I was like, I'm going to do everything. Yeah, so I got a lot of stuff from Marketplace. I normally raid my mom's house because she has nicer stuff than me. She did some beautiful paintings for me. Yeah, staged it. I love the staging part. It just brings everything together.
It does, yeah.
And then I sold it by myself through for sale by own as well.
Amazing. And so how much did you sell it for?
455,000.
Okay. And so how much of that was profit?
122,000 before tax.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I
Well
still
done.
can't believe it. I'm pinching myself.
Yes. Well, obviously the market helped, but you took the risk. You bought the property. So you had about 30,000 budgeted, but you made 120.
Yeah.
Amazing. So there was something there that I wanted to pull out. So another really good tip is to get involved with the strata, because, we talk about street appeal, and in an apartment, you don't have a lot of control over the street appeal. So just by Nady being involved with the strata. And another thing about strata is they have not got a clue when it comes to getting quotes. So, and as your example demonstrated, so usually contractors rub their hands together when stratas want quotes because they know that they're sort of a bit clueless and that they can pretty much charge anything. So I'll tell you what, a property that we own, the strata got quotes to, there was a waterproofing problem on the roof, and the strata, it's quite a big block. The strata got quotes to repair that, and it came in at about $500,000, I think. Anyhow, so that meant quite a big special levy. So that's okay. There are a lot of people in that building that could not afford a brass razoo. So they raised the special levy, which I think we paid about 20,000. And anyhow, so then we get to the next annual general meeting, and they'd employed an engineer to manage the whole process. And there's 2 buildings in the complex, and they discovered that quote was just for 1 building. So they'd only, I'm thinking, seriously, what are you doing? So yeah, very smart move to get involved with the strata. Unfortunately, we thought we were just in and out and were, not going to commit the time, which almost ended in disaster. But anyhow, that's life. So, which brings me to the next point. So I find that it doesn't matter how many projects I do, I always learn something on my projects. What did you learn on this project? What was your key learning?
I think my key learning was just how to project manage better, because this was probably the furthest I have been for a reno, which meant that I couldn't just turn up at 8 o'clock to let tradies in or get quotes done. So I had to get really organized with my time and who's working there as well. It needed to be my regular team and trustworthy people that I can just kind of let loose in the unit to do what I need done. And I also been wanting to kind of step out of being at the reno site kind of full time when the project's running. So this was kind of my test case to see, can I line these guys up and, get them to try and work together to achieve these things. So it was quite interesting. They like to natter about each other. And like I always get told, women like to,
Gossip.
natter about each other. The tradies were worse. Like as soon as I walk in the door, it's like, oh, so and so like didn't turn up and he only did 2 hours. And I'm like, so it was a lot of kind of clearing all that negative energy. And then I managed to bring them together. So in the end, like they were actually recommending each other to other people and, having a good chat and stuff. So that worked out really well, which means now I can take the whole lot and put them into my next reno, and they have each other's phone numbers. They know how I work, and they'll actually talk to each other to get things done. Whereas usually it's like, oh no, he stuffed it up. You need to go sort this out because I can't do this because, it was all him. And I'm just going, oh, you're like kindergarten children, just So I think that was the big learning. So how to not let them get their feathers ruffled and just keep things calm and flowing. And like I said, everybody makes mistakes, right? So there's no point going, oh, you stuffed this up and now nobody can. It's like,
I
okay,
agree.
this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, this happened.
Yeah.
How do we fix this? How do we move forward together, sort of thing. So it was more about people management than the actual reno. Like I think with renovations, people think it's all about the reno, but it's not, like, because it is just paint and tiles and kitchens and stuff. It's more about how everybody works together and how you run it really,
Yeah.
and try to make it a fun environment as well.
Yeah. And that's really interesting. I was in Thailand on a holiday and I had a project going. I got a phone call from the carpenter to complain about something the plumber had done. And he said, can you ring him up and sort it out? And I said, is he on site? And he said, yeah. And I said, so why can't you just go and talk to him rather than me from halfway across the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, it's an age-old problem, and having them work as a team is brilliant, and it gives you a whole lot of autonomy. So yeah, well done. Now, the next question I want to ask you is, what's the thing you're most proud of?
I think the final product, like it just looked so stunning from, like, I could see it, but to actually touch it and feel it, and then the feedback that I got from the people who came to look at it, plus all the other three neighbors, the unit holders were just so thrilled because they were interstate investors, all three of them, Queensland, Sydney, and Melbourne. They haven't seen their properties for, I don't know, 10 plus years. So they bought it for like 200,000, and they're going, oh my God, you're selling this for 455. That means it's fantastic for us. So like it just lifted the whole place up. And I think they kind of realized what's going on with the Strata as well. So they're getting a little bit more involved in making the decisions and things. But I think, so in the end, a young couple, first home buyers, bought it, and they were just so thrilled I think they've been looking for 2 years to buy something. So they were just so thrilled that this was a finished product that they could just move into. And it just felt really, I don't know, my heart just felt really full. Yeah, it was just a happy situation for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, you should be so proud of yourself. And so this might just be me, but I always get to a project and think there's something I could have done better. Is there something for you that you think you could have done better?
Yes, I think maybe the flooring could have been done better. So I was actually, it's like a more of a physical thing. So I was using the hired sanding machine from Bunnings, and it's just big and heavy.
Did you do that yourself?
Yes, I had to lift it up 4 stairs, and I nearly broke every bit of my bones. So it's doing stupid things like that to your body. So I was like, oh, come on, Nady, you could have paid $2,000 and got a professional to do this for you. So like what I could do better is try not to take on the big things that I shouldn't be doing, and look after my body a bit better.
Yeah, and I think as you go along, you work out what is okay to do yourself and what's not. But I guess when you started out with a budget of with a profit margin of 30,000, I can understand why you planned it that way. But I guess probably something that you can sort of take away is that by monitoring the market, you get to see that you can, loosen the purse strings a little bit in certain areas to make it a bit easier, possibly.
That's very true. Yeah, I'm doing that with my other rentals. I see prices going up, and I'm like, oh, actually, I can pay this guy to do this thing, and I don't have to do it now. Yeah.
Exactly. And so in terms of your ongoing goals, so what's your big picture for you? How many children have you got?
2.
2. Okay. And how old are they?
One's 13, one's nearly 10.
Okay. So what's your big picture in terms of what you're doing with property? So you've already replaced your income, so you're no longer having to work for an income, work in a job. What's next for you?
I guess as renovators, I think we always look at the developers and go, oh, their life looks so much easier and I want to do that. So every 6 months, I just get this grand idea. Okay, I'm going to go, have a chat with my builder friend and we'll do a JV together. We'll build some beautiful houses and, become millionaires overnight sort of idea. But then, like, you talk to the developers who are actually doing the things and realize, oh, if you think renovations hard, developments, next level in terms of problems, because a lot of the work is outsourced to other parties where you lose control. So I'm at a point, I still love doing renovation. I think it's my thing. And I get a real buzz out of it. So, and I think if you look at profit margins and ROIs and stuff, I make as much as a developer, and I feel like my risk is a lot less compared to developments going, south sort of thing. So big picture, I think property-wise, we need to get our house renovated. I run an Airbnb out the back of that, and I rent out a granny flat on the property as well. But it needs a big overhaul and a big renovation. So get enough money from the next deal to get that work started. But overall, my passive income goal is 200K.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of doing my goals at the moment, and we always thought for a long time it will be through buy and hold. So, buy 10, sell down 5, and then live on the passive income sort of thing. But I'm rethinking that maybe I will just keep accumulating cash. And then when we come to retirement, have our house paid off, have 2 houses for the kids, and invest the cash into commercial property, which will yield, 8 to 10% and live off that. That's still not nutted out in terms of numbers and years and how we do it. But I think renovation and maybe little subdivisions is what I'll keep doing, at least for the next 5 years. Yeah.
So I think that the natural next step for a renovator heading towards development is micro development. So do you understand that strategy?
No.
Okay, so that's where you buy a house on a big enough block to subdivide, and you renovate the house and ultimately sell it off. But the goal is for that money, the renovation, to pay for the land, your development land. So if you renovate the house, sell it off. Sometimes you can't sell it off until after you've developed, and put that money back into the deal. Technically, you're getting your land for free, well, almost free, which pushes up the profit potential. Usually they're only, 1 into 2 or 1 into 3. But I think that is the natural next step for a renovator, because you still get that joy of doing a renovation, and you also get that additional uplift from the renovation. Because a lot of renovators, find that development is, it's fine, but you don't get the same creative aspect. I think the other thing about development is the longer time frame. So with a reno, so I actually think that, mixing it up a bit is probably, the sort of sweet spot in terms of making that transition. So, yeah, so.
Can I ask, do you build on the landlords?
Well, so the other great thing about that strategy is you have multiple exit strategies. So you can just renovate the house, subdivide, sell off the land, keep the house, or sell the house and sell the land, or sell the house and build on the land. Obviously, the more that you can get onto the block, the better the FISO. But yeah, that's definitely, we're doing one with our third daughter. So it's another great way of renovating to hold, because you have a lot more equity in the deal. But so basically we've renovated a house. We've just got that on Airbnb, and the next step is to do 1 into 2, because it's in Echuca and you don't pay the council contribution if you just do 1 into 2. So we're going to do 1 into 2 and build a duplex on the back. So each of us technically will own a duplex, but it'll be on one title unless we decide to sell. So we're doing it to hold. But it basically means you can take your money out of the deal and still have a lot of equity in it. So you might want to think about that, because I definitely...
Can I interrupt you? I'm actually doing that down in Goolwa. So I
So you were doing it and you didn't even know.
Yeah, I didn't know it was called micro development. So we bought a big block of land with an old 1920s bungalow in it. It was a hoarder's house, so it's about 80% renovation complete now, and we're just doing the actual physical work of the subdivision now. So it's going to be 2 blocks and the house.
Amazing. So are you going to sell the blocks or build on them?
Sell the blocks, yeah. So I have no money in this. It's all with JV partners, so somebody else has the loan. I'm just the project manager for this.
Yeah. So I'd like you to consider maybe still holding some properties along the line if you can get to that stage, because if you are using a value adding strategy, whether that be development or renovation, if you can pair that up with capital growth, it's a very powerful strategy. It will grow much quicker than money in the bank.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
think about that. I know you might not be ready for it right now, and you're absolutely on the right track, because you must get your mortgage paid off before you retire, because and then you can, so working on getting your mortgage paid off, and then building some sort of organic income. Yeah.
We do have one buy and hold property, which is a rooming house.
Great.
It's just that, like, with a lot of the new tenancy laws coming in, I'm a bit worried about that. As landlords, we're going to come under the hammer a little bit from all sides. And that's, I'm not very thrilled about, what some of this new legislation is doing to landlords.
It's tough on good landlords. It's interesting you mentioned what is it? Commercial property. And so I presented at an event in Brisbane last weekend, and one of the other presenters was Helen Tarrant. Do you know her?
Yeah, I've heard of her.
Yeah, I was really interested in it. I've never really considered commercial property, because I didn't know enough about it, but there's got some distinctions that I really like. One of them is that you can actually get a loan, like provided you've got your deposit, you can get a loan based on the property's income alone, which I think is incredibly powerful. So, but anyhow, Nady, I'm really impressed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love to see a young woman really taking control of her life and her future. And you've done an amazing job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
You too. Bye.
This is the She Renovates podcast. To discover how to harness the power of renovating, check out theschoolofrenovating.com.